24 elections are quite important, as most general elections are. But this is an election that's coming at the back of a 10-year BJP government. And 10 years of the same government, same Prime Minister, same promises. So it's time to read the report card in terms of what they've done, what they promised. And the election agenda really should be what is the delivery on the ground. If it's NDA versus India alliance, 1-to-1, we're on for a good match, and I think the alliance itself and the political leaders coming together will pose a formidable challenge to the incumbent government.
You have the India alliance, or you had the India alliance?
We have the India alliance. We have it. Every state leader in India alliance has his or her own space. They have their own importance, and of course they have their own political mettle that they proved. So we have to take all things on board and be sensitive to each other's requirements and needs. No matter what the speculations are, the India alliance is strong. We will fight together. And on a 1-to-1 contest, I think India alliance, the balance is tilted towards the India alliance as opposed to the NDA. Winning an election does not give you a mandate or a blank check to do as you please. In 2004, when Vajpayee was Prime Minister, we had the India Shining campaign, and it all looked so good. Everything was so fantastic and everybody is happy. But in the end, BJP lost that election. So when someone is sitting in the headquarters, you say, Congress सड़कों पे कहाँ है? When we go to the streets, be with the people. फिर आप कहते हो आप दिल्ली में क्यों नहीं बैठ रहे हैं? तो थोड़ा बहुत give and take तो करना ही पड़ेगा. Unless we have that attitude, we will not be able to reach a consensus.
Hello and welcome to HT's weekly talk show, The Interview. Elections are around the corner. The BJP is upbeat, while the opposition is running from pillar to post to get its act together. In the run-up to the elections, we bring you lawmakers from across party lines to discuss the challenges, to discuss what is in store for India for the next 5 years. What does it mean for the BJP? Is its win a given? Will it be 300 plus or 400 ke par as the BJP would wish it to be? What does this mean for the opposition? We bring you this and much more in our special segment, Elections 2024, The Big Picture. Our first guest in this series is Sachin Pilot from the Congress. He is often in the news, both for the right and wrong reasons. We speak to him about the elections, we speak to him about the Congress, and we speak to him about why it gave him a raw deal. Look out for the interesting nuggets thrown in. Welcome to the show, Mr. Sachin Pilot, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
You are our first guest in this new segment which we are starting called Elections 2024, The Big Picture. So let me begin with the big picture. What does 2024 look like nationally, politically and electorally?
Well, 24 elections are quite important, as most general elections are. But this is an election that's coming at the back of a 10-year BJP government. I won't say NDA because this is a full majority government. And 10 years of the same government, same Prime Minister, same promises. So it's time to read the report card in terms of what they've done, what they promised. And the election agenda really should be what is the delivery on the ground. For I think people of India, what matters most is governance, and has the lives of people of India become better, or at least have the promises been fulfilled, what they were told in every general election in 2014 and 2019. So this election also is important for the unity of the opposition. We have an India alliance, more than 24 parties together, and the vote share of all the parties put together is more than 60%. So if it's NDA versus India alliance, 1-to-1, we're on for a good match, and I think the alliance itself and the political leaders coming together will pose a formidable challenge to the incumbent government. So elections will be interesting, despite all the propaganda, all the media hype that we see around the current government. I think this will be an interesting election, And I just hope that the election is fought on issues that matter to the common people, as opposed to issues that are emotional or not on the needs and aspirations of the Indian middle class, of the young people, and of the farmers and other sections. So that's what we are trying to do, is focus the campaign and the election issues back onto the people.
You have the India Alliance, or you had the India Alliance?
We have the India Alliance. We have it. Because except for Nitish Kumar, who's jumped ship now, obviously, but nothing to be said about that. The India Alliance is strong, and of course, in every state, every regional party will have its own political space that nobody wants to give up. But there has to be a give and take, and therefore there are committees made. The negotiations for seat sharing are going on as we speak, and very soon we'll have a formidable alliance with seat sharing done adequately, and a joint campaign that will take on very, very soon. We must understand every regional party has its own importance and significance. But nationally, at a pan-India level, it is the Congress that can actually challenge and defeat the BJP at an all-India level. So that's a reality we have to accept. But every state leader in India Alliance has his or her own space. They have their own importance. And of course, they have their own political mettle that they proved. So we have to take all things on board and be sensitive to each other's requirements and needs. And yet, the larger focus and the main objective of the India Alliance is to defeat the NDA in the elections that are coming in the next 2-3 months. So that's the agenda we've set for ourselves. No matter what the speculations are, the India Alliance is strong. We will fight together. And on a one-to-one contest, I think India Alliance, the balance is tilted towards the India Alliance as opposed to the NDA.
You guys started off very well. But, you know, perception is very, very important. And as of now, the message which seems to be going is that the pieces are falling apart. You have Mamata Banerjee who says Congress will not get more than 40 seats. You have Akhilesh who has his own angst. So somewhere the messaging is on the ground, not as it should be. And it somewhere takes us back to the Janata experiment. So somewhere people now feel BJP is strong. BJP is maybe a party which is coherent, cohesive, and the India Alliance will fall apart.
No, I think it's too early to write it off, and it's not appropriate to compare this to the Janata experiment. That's completely different. But the India Alliance, I think all the meetings we've had, all the leaders, we may have some issues on seat sharing per se, but the commonality of objective is very clear, that we have to fight together. This country is far more important than the number of seats that you and I may get or not get. Parties will come and go, governments will come and go, but the country, the constitution, our republic, our democratic ethos is far more important. So the reason why we've all come together, is not because we don't have differences. अगर हमारे differences नहीं होते, हम सब एक ही party बन जाते ना. We are अलग-अलग party इसलिए हैं because we all have different ways of looking at things. But that's, for our own political objectives. But the larger national requirement today is to give an alternative, to give a blueprint to this country. What BJP and NDA have not done for the last 10 years, we can do. We can protect institutions, we can protect the lives and dignity of our people, we can actually work on economic issues. The farmers are really under a lot of stress. Young people are facing the highest levels of unemployment since independence. Wages are down, small and medium scale industries are shutting down. So we are looking at a better economic outlay for the country. We're looking at protecting, and I keep saying, for 70 years, we have nurtured these institutions. Our judiciary, our bureaucracy, our institutions are important for our republic. And I think there's a constant effort to undermine and hollow out these institutions. If they lose credibility in the eyes of people, then everything is at stake. So this is a much larger, the country's future at stake than just a mere election or one party winning or losing.
Why is that message not getting across? Because were it getting across, and the negatives of the BJP which you're talking about, or governance which you're talking about, then BJP would not continue winning election after election, even in the assembly elections, for instance, though there could be local factors or whatever.
So I take your point, but winning an election does not give you a mandate or a blank check to do as you please. You can't change the way the Chief Election Commissioner is nominated. You can't change the fundamentals of how our judiciary has functioned, how bureaucracy has functioned. So I think these changes are also being watched very keenly by the people of India. And Indian people are smart. Voters are smart. In 2004, when Vajpayee was Prime Minister, we had the India Shining campaign, and it all looked so good. Everything was so fantastic, and everybody is happy. But in the end, BJP lost that election. So I think it's not appropriate to write anybody off in politics. So we must fight the elections, and you're right. It must be done in a way that the message is communicated clear, and the commitment is seen. That's what we're aspiring to do. This Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra is an effort to give voice to the voiceless, farmers, laborers, young people, women, the underprivileged. जिनकी आवाज़ को सुन नहीं रहा, उनकी आवाज़ बनने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. उसमें बुराई क्या है? There's nothing wrong in it. Every party does its own campaign, but the election campaign will happen. We'll do it together. There's no question about it.
You said that what is wrong with the Yatra? Nothing wrong, except the timing. When parties, or at least the Congress party, should be taking a lead in seat sharing strategy with elections around the corner, it's doing something apolitical, quote unquote, as the Yatra. Is this the right time?
Just because he's doing the Yatra does not mean that the Congress party is not doing what it's supposed to do. There are seat sharing arrangements going on as we speak. There's a committee of senior people doing that, talking to different state leaders, a manifesto, a campaign, strategy, seat sharing, all of this happening in parallel. So it's not either or. It's wrong to say that nothing else is happening. And I don't see the point. So when someone is sitting in the headquarters, you say, Congress सड़कों पे कहाँ है? When we go to the streets, be with the people, फिर आप कहते हो आप दिल्ली में क्यों नहीं बैठ रहे हैं? And timing तो देखो, elections हमेशा होते रहेंगे ना. There are some state election or the other, and elections are now in April, May. Yatra started in January. I think there's nothing wrong at any time to be with the people, to be amongst our voters, to listen to them, talk to them, instead of forcing your ideas and your thoughts and your actions on people. It's very important in democracy to have a listening ear, to be empathetic, to be sympathetic, to have the patience and the willingness to listen to those who perhaps don't agree with you. And that's the communication the Congress party and Mr. Gandhi are trying to establish with people across states. 14 states the Yatra is visiting, meeting people, not just Congress people, but common folk, NGOs, civil societies, farmers, anybody who wants to meet and interact and talk. So this Nyaya Yatra, I think, is a effort in the direction of getting people together, hearing, listening, talking, highlighting the issues, and becoming the voice of the sections of our society that really don't have the space and no one's listening to them. At least हम वो तो कर रहे हैं. So I think it's a good effort.
A bit late in the day, from 2014 to now, 10 years. One could have done it, turned the clock back and maybe done it 2 years earlier.
This Yatra was a unique idea that only started a year, half or 2 years ago.
So late in the day.
नहीं, but उससे पहले भी करते थे. But to give it that particular shape and have a continuous Yatra, it's not a small effort. I think nobody in the last 70 years has done that. To walk on foot continuously for 4,500 kilometers.
Mr. Chandrasekhar did.
But not like this Yatra that he is doing is much larger that Mr. Gandhi has done. So it takes great effort, commitment to stay the course, right? Earlier the question was, kar रहेंगे, nahi karenge, and people, even when he started, people thought कि he may not finish the Yatra, but he did it every day, 25 kilometers every day walking. It's no small effort.
What does that do to the party? What does it do to the party prospects, and what does it do electorally to the Congress? Not much.
Yeah, see, the political party that we are, it's not, of course, the main objective of a party is to fight, win elections and to be able to serve the people. But you also have another aspect to it. We are fighting for issues that are important to us. Today, the government of India is using all its powers and its resources and its agencies to strangulate the voices of any opposition. Whether it's Congress, whether it's non-BJP governments, even chief ministers, political opponents, income tax, ED, CBI, what have you. You unleash the power of the state on your political opponents and you stifle the voice of dissent. That's not acceptable in a republic like ours, in a democracy like ours. So that's the issue that we are highlighting. And अगर हम जनता के पास नहीं जाएंगे तो किसके पास जाएंगे? I see no harm in reaching out to the people of India and telling them what the realities are on the ground.
Okay, let me ask you, what is it that the BJP is doing right?
Well, BJP is using its might. That's what I like to say. All its might to, not let the opposition come together, to use force. What happened in Jharkhand, very unfortunate. In 95% of all cases of the Enforcement Directorate, raids, searches, notices are on the opposition. How is it possible that 95% of all such cases are only on the leaders of opposition? anybody who belong to the BJP or is willing to belong to the BJP is kosher. They have done nothing wrong. It can't be a mere coincidence, right? So this sort of blatant use of government machinery to weaken the voice of the opposition is something that is unacceptable. थोड़ा बहुत कभी किसी ने किया होगा, but not to this extent. People are watching what's going on.
Staying in power, I think, doesn't seem to be the issue as far as the BJP is concerned. In fact, now, would you agree that now it's about numbers? How many seats will BJP win?
If that was the case, Kumkumji, then why is it that the Nitish Kumar ji was taken on board after having spewed so much venom on him, accused him, abused him? Itna karne ke baad, why is Bihar so important if the numbers are so, they are so sure about the numbers? Why was the Nitish Kumar RJD Congress alliance broken? And why was Nitish Kumar taken on board and they had to, swallow all the words that they had spoken against him earlier? So it's not, you may pretend to be that confident, but like I said, the India Alliance Partners board chair is 60% of India and NDA is 30 to 33%. So numbers are actually stacked in our favor. I don't think anybody is that confident as you think they are. Election to election hota hai na, it can turn anyway and doesn't take much for the people to, change their opinion or vote differently.
No, you're right. They are not sure of the numbers and they are trying to improve their numbers 300 या 400 के पार. So the win, my point was that the win is perhaps a given, perhaps. And they are only trying to improve. It's like Mr. Rajiv Gandhi in Amethi. It was always the win was certain. It was the margin which was important.
I think it's wrong to assume that because like I gave you an example of 2004. When Vajpayee ji was certain to win, he did not win. So nothing is taken for granted in this country and we have to leave it to the wisdom of the voters to elect the government that they want. So let's wait for a few months and see what the results are.
What about Mr. Kharge himself saying that the BJP will keep returning to power 200, 300 and 400 and of course he compared the election to Putin's election.
Mr. Kharge's words have been twisted.
I knew you would say that.
It is true because I heard what he said. He's the Congress president and I think he knows his responsibility. We are fighting this election to win. This is not a mere lip service or exercise in futility. This is election that India Alliance will fight together to win and the BJP and NDA have a 10-year anti-incumbency and like I keep saying in the beginning I told you, we want the BJP to come up with a report card of what they've done, how much debt they have taken since they took charge, how much farm income has increased since they took charge, how many people have they given jobs, 2 crores per year is what they promised. Has all the black money been extinguished in this country? Have they eradicated corruption? So all these are important questions to be asked.
These issues, important as they are, have been taken up for the last 10 years. But somewhere on the ground, they don't seem to get traction because otherwise the vote pattern of the country would have changed. They seem to be going from strength to strength.
Bhai, Congress defeated BJP in Himachal Pradesh, in Karnataka. Both had double-engine governments. Telangana, nobody gave us a chance. We formed the government there. So it's not to say that BJP has not been defeated. That's not appropriate. But sometimes certain local circumstances, point to a direction where the BJP may win that state election or some other election. But a few victories in the past will not ensure your future victories forever. So we have to work on that premise that people will vote differently and we have to put our best foot forward. We have to come up with the best possible alliance in terms of seat sharing and fight unitedly. If we have to do that and keep the ship steady, I think we can certainly challenge and overcome the NDA in the next elections.
You're saying that the alliance is working towards a win. Fair enough. Is it actually working towards winning or is it working towards, at least in 2024, to weaken the BJP and next time around win?
ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता. When you fight election, you fight to win. You don't fight to weaken the winner. You fight to win the election. In a one-to-one contest, we have a very good chance. In large parts of our country, BJP is not really a potent political organization. The local leaderships there are far more stronger than the BJP. And if we put our efforts together, there could well be a chance where we surpass the numbers of the NDA as the India Alliance.
How slim or strong is that chance?
I think we have pretty strong chances. I told you, 2/3 votes were cast in favor of the India Alliance. The question and the challenge is, are we able to manage the sensitivities of the regional leadership, the seats that they want to contest, and how much a national party like Congress party, how much are we able to come back? So, थोड़ा बहुत give and take तो करना ही पड़ेगा. Unless we have that attitude we will not be able to reach a consensus. But I'm confident that they're very mature leaders, very intelligent and popular leaders who can actually stand back and look beyond themselves, because this election is not about how many seats I can fight and win. It's about whether India Alliance can overcome the NDA numbers. If that's the ultimate objective, then we'll be able to win. I see no reason why we can't win.
Is that the ultimate objective? Because looking at what has gone on in the past, the Congress doesn't seem to be on that page. Because, for instance, to project Mr. Kharge as the prime ministerial candidate, while in Bombay it was decided there will be no face.
No one's been projected anywhere. Mr. Kharge himself said that I am not interested in projecting anybody, including myself. Our first objective should be to fight and win elections. एक बार जीत जाएंगे, then we'll see किसको क्या post देना है. I think it's not important for any of us to get this post or that post. Please, I think absolutely that's been made very clear by the man himself, Mr. Kharge.
What about Mamata Banerjee when she proposed his name?
When she proposed, Mr. Kharge himself said, कि don't propose right now. It's irrelevant because you're first. अभी तो alliance का seat sharing पूरा नहीं हुआ. हम चुनाव लड़के जीतेंगे. उसके बाद क्या होगा? We'll see at that point.
So are you saying Mr. Kharge's name is not?
Nobody is ruling anybody out, anybody in. पहले आप लड़के जीतो तो सही, उसके बाद we'll see.
So then what prompted Mamata Banerjee to say that? And somewhere rock the boat?
No one rocked any boats. It was a suggestion that came out in the media, and Mr. Kharge next day itself said that I myself am saying it's not important for us to declare anybody, any names to be given out right now. Let's first fight the elections.
So he's not in the reckoning.
I keep saying, Kumkumji, no one's ruling anybody in or ruling anybody out. It may well be that someone decides to have a consensus candidate later on, but that's a development to be taking place after the elections.
Tell me, talking purely objectively, what is it that the Congress and the India Alliance, in fact more the Congress, need to do to keep the house together and to give and the formidable challenge to the BJP that you're talking about?
I think we're doing all that needs to be done. We have very senior, experienced leadership in the party. Mr. Kharge is our president. Mrs. Gandhi, of course, is one of the most respected political leaders in the entire country. And we must not allow miscommunication to seep in for whatever reasons. I think this constant meetings we've had in Bangalore, Patna, Delhi, so on and so forth, has given strength. And there are backroom channels operating already. Now there are official committees formed for seat sharing. Congress has put 5 people to talk to all the alliance partners. And there has to be an arrangement made. And we should do it very quickly because time is running out. We are well on course with that. So the Congress party is very open, very amiable. I think the media projection sometimes, because of certain vested interests, is that we're being obstinate and we're being very stuck. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Congress party, being the larger party, has a larger responsibility. So I think we are far more aware of what needs to be done than maybe perhaps other political parties. So we have that, but we also have state units. So we have to also make sure their sentiments are taken on board. But finally, what is in the interest of the party, and more importantly, what's in the interest of the country, that's what the Congress party will do.
Isn't time running out?
Like I said, we have done most of the groundwork. Very soon we'll have announcements and declarations of what we decided.
And more people will walk out of the alliance?
I don't think so. Anyone who's committed to defeating the NDA and to defeat the BJP will stick to the alliance, will contribute, and I think sacrifices have to be made on all sides. No one should shy away from doing that.
Talking personally, what do you feel about your new role? Isn't it like, if I may use the term, handing a lollipop to someone who deserved a cake?
Listen, I've been made General Secretary of the party, and it's an important position which I had told the party that whatever they decide for me, I will do. Unfortunately, we couldn't win the Rajasthan elections, and Mr. Kharge and Mr. Gandhi have decided to give me this job. I'm looking after Chhattisgarh. So whatever task, assignment, job, responsibility the party gives, whether it's in party, it's in government, Jaipur, Delhi, Raipur, I'm happy to do that.
You know, both you and your father never got their due. Why has the Congress given you a raw deal?
You know, there are so many people who occupy such important positions, and after some time, no one remembers them. Of course, it's important in politics. It's always important to be in a position of power, to get a post, it's protocol, so on and so forth. But that's not what defines a political leader. I think if you're able to make a space in the hearts and minds of people, if you're able to, with your actions and your words, bring about a positive effect on society, I'm not being philosophical about it, but if you're able to make that positive change, if you endear yourself to the people of this country, if you have respect among them and you have affection from them, that's far more difficult to achieve than getting a position or some other post. While I'm not saying one is without ambition, because without ambition you really won't put that toil and effort. It's important to have ambition, but ambition shouldn't blind you either, right? मैं तो हमेशा से कहता हूँ, जो किस्मत में लिखा है उसे कोई रोक नहीं सकता, और जो किस्मत में नहीं लिखा उसे कोई दे नहीं सकता. तो अपना कर्म करो, भगवान बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है. Things will happen at the right time, but one must not shy from making an effort and doing work conscientiously with full dedication. आधे मन से जो काम होता है ना, उसमें you don't feel happy about it, you don't get the best results.
आपकी किस्मत कांग्रेस लिख रही है, writing it, rewriting it, badly writing it.
Wrong. ये सब नीली छतरी वाला है ना, ये लिखता है सब कुछ. So I'm a firm believer in fate, destiny, and I believe in God. And I think what I've gotten so far is far more than most people have gotten. In terms of opportunities, I've worked in party, government, national, state. I'm 46 years old, and God has given me enough. Party has given me enough. And more importantly, I've gotten enough from the people of this country.
Why have you stuck on? Milind Deora left, Jiten Prasad and many others. You seem to be the last bastion.
Everyone decides their ideological space, their future choices, their comfort level, and what they want to do in life. Again, time will tell whether those decisions were right or wrong. And people will tell, because people are the ultimate judge. But I believe in certain philosophies, certain ideological space, and certain personal self-commitments. And no matter what, I won't betray that. Congress, the space it occupies, is very important for this country. It's inclusive, it's all-involving, it's secular in the true sense, and we have to uphold our legacy, our history, and much more importantly, the Constitution of India. And this space, this country needs this space. And Congress best represents, the vast diversity and the depth and, the space that India has. The Congress party, to my mind, best. I'm sure other parties also represent, but the Congress represents it the best.
Are you telling me that the thought of leaving the Congress, even in your worst moments, never happened?
Never, no. But in fact, if I have personal issues with something or some individual, I had the freedom to go and talk and speak about it and sort it out. So, in politics, a lot of propaganda will happen, a lot of storytelling will happen, a lot of questions will be asked. But a person should be judged by his or her words and the actions. And for 24 years, whatever I've said and whatever I've done is on record.
Can I replay this after you leave the Congress?
That is not going to happen. But I can tell you one thing, that in politics, it's not just about winning an election or being in power. It's also about leaving a mark. And this instigation that a lot of people, like you just said, it only strengthens my resolve to strengthen the Congress party, to take it places and to make it the party that it was a few years ago. And I'm sure it's bound to happen, because what goes up must come down, and the time will turn a full cycle.
Are you telling me, or are you suggesting that you have not been approached?
I don't think it's important, because like अब आपने मुझे बैठे-बैठे बोल दिया है, ऐसे बहुत लोग बोल देते हैं, so उसका तो मेरे पे control नहीं है ना. But what I do and what I say is in my control, and I've told you what I stand for.
I know, quote unquote, you have moved on, so there's no point in my getting into Mr. Ashok Gehlot calling you a traitor.
But you still will. But you still will.
No, I won't. Unless you voluntarily choose to take me through that. So there's no point going into that. But let me ask you, how much did all this, including the infighting, affect the electoral prospects and the outcome in the state?
Now, this election,
I didn't ask you.
This election, we almost did. This election, we got 70 seats out of 200. The so-called disagreements, infighting, etc., whatever you say.
So-called?
So-called. I mean, because this is 2 years ago. So we all sat down, put everything on the table, moved forward, worked together, put our best efforts.
He
and we
called
got
you traitor.
seats.
You said his leader is not Mrs. Sonia Gandhi but Vasundhara Raje.
Yes.
You want to tell me about that?
Yes. You asked, have I ever stopped you asking questions? I'm answering everything you're asking, but you must have the patience to listen to me also, right? I'm saying how 70 seats we got this time. Last time we were in government, we got 21 seats. तब तो मैं अध्यक्ष नहीं था, तब तो इनफाइटिंग नहीं था. सो हाउ कैन यू से, आई एम सेइंग विद IFS हम 70 पे आ गए, जब 20 में थे तब क्या कारण हुए होंगे? कुछ तो कारण होंगे ना उस टाइम. So what I'm saying is that whatever differences we had, we were to sit down, हम बैठ के हमने बात की. Mr. Kharge was there, Mr. Gandhi was there. We sorted, and I raised issues which I thought were important for the party and the government. A course correction was required. I didn't want over dependency on bureaucrats. I wanted party workers who put sweat and blood on the soil to be given responsibility and to become stakeholders. I wanted issues of young people to be taken over. I wanted investigation on corruption issues, and party took cognizance of those statements that I made, and we took some corrective action, and I think that's the reason why we got 70 seats.
So this divided house, did it affect the outcome?
There is
in
no
Rajasthan?
divided house. There was a perception being created at some point because of things I said. I still stand by them. But मैं जब विपक्ष में था, I took some issues up. How can I change my stand when I'm in government? अगर young लोगों के बच्चों का पेपर लीक हो रहे हैं and I don't speak against it, how can I live with myself?
You said that Mr. Ashok Gehlot's leader seems to be Vasundhara Raje and not Sonia Gandhi.
I wanted investigations on the corruption issues that me and Mr. Gehlot both raised against Ms. Vasundhara Raje. And in the 4 years that we were in government, not enough was being done. And I wanted to push the agenda to make sure that investigation, without being vindictive, must take place. But the pace wasn't as quick as it should have been.
So there was basis to your saying that.
If there was no basis, I would not have said it.
So you admit that the two were hand in glove. You didn't use that terminology, but
I didn't use the terminology. No.
But you implied.
I said what I had to say.
You've always said that you would like to serve the people of Rajasthan. Now that you have been given charge of Chhattisgarh, don't you think Rajasthan would take a back seat? And anything you try to do there would amount to interference.
I've been given charge of a state, it's my responsibility, but I come from Rajasthan, I'm an MLA from Rajasthan, and that is my Karam Bhumi. And I will continue to work there till my last breath. Rajasthan is a place where I get elected from, and I have the most at stake in Rajasthan. Of course, that's my home state. So it'll remain my focus, obviously.
As someone in charge of Chhattisgarh, which has also witnessed a feud between the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister, won't you be seen as a factional leader now, which in turn affects your credibility, given that you also were part of the feud back home?
I think the best judge of it is that of the leaders in the Congress, the workers of the party in Chhattisgarh. And I know my job as an in charge, what I have to do. Whatever is in the interest of the party, that action will be taken, irrespective of whether someone likes it or doesn't like it. I'm quite clear about that. I have no foes or friends. So we are all on board, and we are putting our best efforts to fight the Lok Sabha elections now.
You hit back when Mr. Narendra Modi said Sachin Pilot is being victimized because of a revolt by his father. But isn't there some truth in what Mr. Modi said?
That was a purely political speech. He should worry more about what he's done to Rajasthan in the last 10 years as Prime Minister, and not about what party he's given me.
Politics apart, but wasn't there truth in what he said?
Not at all.
And that's something I asked you a little while ago.
अब आप मेरे को बताओ, मैं MP, MLA, State President, Center Minister, Deputy Chief Minister, now General Secretary. How many people have been given this chance in the last 25 years?
What about Chief Minister, which you deserved because
ठीक
the
है,
party came to power?
That's what you feel. Maybe some other people feel like that, but not everything in life goes according to exactly how you want it. There's a time for it, there's a space for it, and I made peace with that. So we discussed this, we moved forward. I can't keep looking back. What I don't want is resentment in life and look back and feel remorseful. I'm not that kind of person. I look forward, I'm positive, I'm aspirational, yes, but I'm also never the one to cry about spilt milk, उसने ऐसा नहीं किया, तब होता तो ऐसा होता. It's all gone now.
Let me tread personal ground and let me introduce the man behind Sachin Pilot, the politician. Tell me about flying planes and the army, the territorial army.
So the flying plane thing was something that I wanted to do because of my last name. You know, so when I was in school, I used to get teased quite a lot because it's a very unusual name. And when I was much younger, my friends used to say, "Well, you can't even ride a bicycle, and you know why are you called a pilot?" So I thought I must do something to correct that. So, but I got my glasses, my eyes became weak quite early. So I got a flying license, but a private license, so that I could be called a pilot because, you know, then I know I can fly a plane. That was only for personal reasons. The army bit came in much later because my grandfather was in the army, my father was in the Air Force, and I felt that I have to get into the olive green uniform, some way or the other. So this territorial army option came by, and I was that time serving as minister in the government of India. So I went through the process. I came exams, interviews. I went to the SSB, the Service Selection Board in Bangalore. I cleared that. And then I got my commission. So I'm a regular serving officer in the TA now. But that's something that I wanted to continue as a tradition. I think it's important to, some traditions are important to continue. And this one I thought was one that something inside me was not getting fulfilled until I did that. So वो करा मैंने, and I'm glad I did.
Going down memory lane, which are the moments of your life you would like to erase, and which are the moments you cherish?
Erase तो क्या करना है, because you know everybody goes through good times and bad times. It would be silly to think that remove all the negativity and all the trauma in life that one has to face. But yes, the good moments, I like to relive them. I keep good memories.
Take me through one or two.
I was younger, just with my father, and we became very close when I got older. I was 22, I think, when he died. So I think of him often, almost every day.
Were your father around, how would your political life have shaped up or changed? Maybe you would not have joined politics.
I don't know. Difficult to say. Perhaps I would not be in it.
Mr. Sachin Pilot, thank you very much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for taking all the questions.
Thanks.